Welcome back to the drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a great Wednesday afternoon. And Jacob is sitting in here with me. Andy is off today, but hopefully Andy will make it back maybe by the end of the week. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, we got a lot of things we're going to be talking about today. Of course, down in Atlanta, everything seems like it's going on down in Atlanta. You've got day 3 of the SEC Football Media Days is continuing, and that'll go on through Thursday. So we will be talking to Chris Goforth, who is down there in Atlanta at SEC Football Media Days. We'll be talking to him around 5:30. And at 5:15 today, we've got a good guest, Steve Carringer. If you're a big Tennessee football fan, Football Time in Tennessee magazine is out, and I highly, highly recommend that anyone that's a Vols fan pick one up at the local grocery store or the bookstore. But we're going to be talking to him. Football Time in Tennessee has been around for a long, long time. In fact, 38 years they've been around. We're going to talk to him about what's going on there in Big Orange Country. But we are going to begin the day reviewing a little bit about what happened last night in Atlanta at Truist Park. You had the National League, honestly, blowing a 6-zip lead. You know, they were up 6-0 after 6 innings, where the American League scores 4 runs in the 7th, and then they tied up at 2, which is interesting. So I don't know if anyone is familiar with this term. Back in 1968, I love doing stuff like this. Harvard played Yale in a football game. Yale was up 29-13 with 42 seconds to go in the game. Well, Harvard made an incredible comeback. They scored 2 touchdowns and get 2 two-point conversions in the last 42 seconds of the game. The game ends up in a 29-29 tie. Well, the next day, the Harvard Crimson, which is the on-campus newspaper, they have this headline. It says, Harvard beats Yale 29-29. Now, the reason I say that is because the National League defeats the American League 6-6 in the All-Star game. I thought that was crazy,
hey,
man.
I will say, the way that they decided the game with the swing-off is how I feel like Rooker and Cal should have decided their tie.
That's right. I agree.
I think that was – and I get it. You don't want to add any extra innings to these guys. Like, you know, it's an All-Star break. Like, you're supposed to play the All-Star game, and you never know how long a game's going to go. But – I do feel like that between those two guys in the home run derby, leaving it up to .0 whatever,
like 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah,
I think is
as a difference, just have them do a swing off. That was, I would say, so cool to watch. That was so cool to listen to.
By the way,
I'm not watching much right
Jacob, anyone out there, he is like he's had procedures on both of his eyes, one yesterday and one today. So he's in here. You talk about taking one for the team. He is taking one for the team, and bless his heart.
Hey.
I feel kind of bad. Listen, just so you know, we're in a dark room doing this show. That is no lie.
Yeah, hey, no days off. You know, I jokingly, like, I really don't like to take off of work ever. You know, outside of COVID, like when they made you go home, I'm going into my 10th year of teaching, and I genuinely think that I have probably missed less than 10 days of school in 10 years.
That's pretty cool.
I don't like to miss. I like to wake up, I like to go to work, and so, you know, if I can and I can give something myself to distract the pain that I'm in, I love talking about sports. So what a better way to, you know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Exactly. So listen, it's not like his voice box is messed up, so he can still talk. He can hear and he can talk. He can't see, but you don't have to see. You just listen to what we got going on. Now I'll tell you this is a first. Kyle Schwarber was the MVP of the All-Star game. His MVP stat line, if you look in the box score, 0 for 2. But he's the most valuable player of the All-Star game. So that's got to be a first. A guy that goes 0 for 2 in the box score is the MVP of the All-Star game. But sure enough, Kyle Schwarber, by the way, comes in there. The American League had taken a 3-1 lead. They'd had 2 guys had batted. Schwarber was the second National League guy to bat, and he comes up. He gets 3 swings. he knocks all three of them out of the ballpark. The first one was dead center field. The last two were absolute no doubters, pulled it into the chop house. But he hits 3 home runs. And the American League, their last guy hits 0 home runs. He was I can't remember his name. He plays for the Rays. But what I don't understand is you've got some really powerful guys there on the American League roster. You got Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh. Explain to me why those guys were not included in the 3 guys that were hitting for the American League. Because I'll be honest with you, I thought the American League really had a very watered down threesome, if you will, that were taking their swings.
I get the Cal Raleigh, like after him having the home run derby last night. Like I get that, but I don't get Aaron Judge.
I don't either.
Like that, he's the leader of the Yankees. Like you want to almost say he's kind of like the leader of the NL or the AL team.
Yeah.
Like, why is he not in the swing off?
I don't know.
Like that blows my mind. And I mean, I get that the manager is thinking, well, I've got to, but it's 3 swings. Like, what are these guys going to do?
I get it. Well, he hadn't been in a game. He'd been out of the game for like 3 or 4 innings. Well,
give me a break.
So what?
They go, like, if you're a professional at this point in time, like, you're getting in the cages, you're throwing all the time. 3 swings, especially in an all-star game where people paid a lot of money to see guys like Aaron Judge hit the baseball. Like, I don't
swing the bat, and if you pop through all 3 of them up, you pop 3 of them up. But man, my thing is, you want the best guys representing. Now we understand it is technically an exhibition game, but there's a pride factor that is being that a lot of people use. In my opinion, I think is a real not as big a pride thing as it once was. I think ever since interleague play, there's not that NL versus AL supremacy type thing, because you have so many, like I said, interleague games, and there's so much guys getting traded from the National League to the American League and vice versa. Now the National League has the DH, so they're so similar now, but I still think there's a little bit of a pride thing.
Yeah, you want to know where the disconnect between fans and professionals are with these all-star games? It's in moments like that where the biggest guys should be at the plate and they're not. Same with the dunk contest.
Yeah.
Same with they're no longer hitting in the all-star week for football. That's the biggest disconnect that fans have with the teams, is when these big moments happen, when an all-star game is going on, you should have the best guys out there representing the league. And I mean, the guy for the Rays had 11 home runs.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones,
Aaron Judge has 35.
Yeah, he sleeps and could hit more than that. So like, I don't get it. But that's the disconnect with these all-star games, and that's why I feel like professional sports is slowly people are starting to not tune in. MLB is the last one that I feel like people pay a lot of attention to, but like nobody watches the dunk contest anymore for this very reason. The guys that should be competing in the moment aren't doing it.
Yeah, and listen, the one thing I will say about Cal Raleigh, okay, the guy is a catcher, and he had already caught, and he had, he'd done the home run derby the night before, so I can kind of understand him, because first off, that's such a grueling position, and he'd already hit, Lord, how many swings he took on Monday night. But Aaron Judge, you cannot tell me that he would not have been a better option than what they ended up with. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. The game itself was very entertaining. Listen, I thought when the National League was up 6-0, I thought this is over, because you just don't see great rallies like that in the All-Star game because of the quality of pitching. But man, tip your hat to the American League. They had that big 7th inning where they scored 4. They're back in the game. It's a 6-4 game, and then the 9th inning, the American League, they were down to their last strike, and I can't remember the kid from the Indians, the Guardians hits a little dribbler.
You said it right, Jim.
Yeah, he hits a little dribbler. He beats the throw to first base. He knocks in the tying run, and of course the National League goes they down with a whimper in the bottom of the 9th, 1, 2, 3. So then I'm sitting there going, I think they do something like a home run derby, but I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember exactly. And they said, yeah, swing off. And then I was like, okay, how do they do this? And then you get 3, the American League manager and the National League manager, they select 3 guys there on the roster, and they decide, hey, these are the three guys that's going to take, and they each get 3 swings. Obviously, you got to make them count. And man, like I said, Kyle Schwarber absolutely just hit 3 bombs, and that one to dead center field. I wasn't sure if that one was going to make it out, but it did. And then the 3 that he pulled down into the into right field and hit it into the chop house, no doubters. And of course, in the American League, they couldn't hit a 4th home run to get. Pete Alonso would have been the last guy, and you got to feel like he would have hit at least one. So you felt pretty good about the National League's chances once Schwarber hit his 3.
So, again, wasn't able to watch. I was listening. Are they allowed to have defenders out there, kind of like how the little kids are out there catching? I think that would be an interesting way to add a defensive element, even to the home run derby. I think if you allow guys out there and they can go up there and rob you, if they rob a home run, it should be -1. In the same way, in this send a defense out there, if you're barely poking one over and a guy can go up and reach it over, they can stop it from happening. I think that would be.
And I'll tell you something. That first home run that Schwarber hit, I think that could have been robbed because it didn't clear the fence by a lot, and but it did clear it, of course. But there was no one out there. And what was funny is that the announcers, it's amazing how often they use the tracking the ball by the outfielders when they're calling a home run, because these guys, they weren't sure where the ball was. They're like, that ball has hit the left field, and they're calling it like, hey, it's gonna be close. Hits 30 feet in front of the warning track because there was no outfielders tracking it, so they don't get a read on the ball. So that was kind of ironic watching that. But anyway, I tell you what, let's go ahead and take our first break. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Steve Carringer. He is the editor of Football Time in Tennessee. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back after these messages.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Listen to the Alon Exchange, hosted by financial professionals Jay and Brittany Hagee, owners of Alon Planning Partners. Each week, they discuss all things financial and answer your questions about investing, preparing for retirement, paying down debt, and more. The Alon Exchange, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on ESPN Cleveland 1013. ESPN Cleveland 1013 is powered by Duracell. For a quarter of a century, Mix 1041 has been taking you out to the ball game.
Swanson to first. The Braves are world champions.
Since 2000, Mix 1041 has been the home of the Atlanta Braves, and we're celebrating by giving away tickets to Atlanta Braves games all summer long. Listen for your chance to call or text to qualify. You can also register at the Mix socials on Facebook and Instagram. Braves 25 is presented by Cleveland Ford. Honest people, honest deals.
Hey Cleveland, are you suffering from fatigue, low sex drive, or just not feeling like yourself? Optimize You is the answer that you have been looking for. Our team is here to listen and help you become the best version of yourself again. So find us online at OptimizeYouCenters.com. That's OptimizeYouCenters.com.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hey, Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians $22 to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one. Medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell, ESPN.com, and we are proud to have the editor of Football Time in Tennessee, Steve Carringer, is joining us here on the drive. How you doing, Steve?
Doing all right. How you doing, Jim?
Doing pretty good, man. So, yeah, 38th edition of Football Time in Tennessee, and it is a beautiful, beautiful magazine. Tell us a little bit about the history of Football Time in Tennessee.
Well, my dad, Don Carringer, he started the magazine, and he started out, gosh, probably back in the early 60s, doing a little pocket-sized book called Kickoff. There's a free giveaway book, and at some point, we started getting pretty good there in the late 80s, and he decided it might be time to start trying a larger publication, and did one in 1988 and sold all of them, so we thought it might catch on, so we've been doing it ever since.
And it's a beautiful magazine. Arian Carter graces the front cover, along with Mike Keith. We actually had Mike Keith as a guest on our show just a couple weeks ago, and Mike's a big time. I don't know about you, Steve, but I'm really pumped about hearing Mike Keith. We carry Tennessee football over here, and so we're excited about having Mike Keith and listening to Tennessee football on our stations here. But tell us a little bit about some of the articles you got in here. The Mike Keith one is a real good one. Tell some of our audience out there that haven't seen what's in the edition that's out right now.
Well, it's 128 pages, and it's a preseason magazine. It comes out once a year, and it comes out in May. It's distributed in 15 states.
Wow.
And yeah, it's pretty widely distributed, and it's a lot of places in Cleveland you can get it. I've got some places here like Food City, Publix, Food Line, Books A Million, Walgreens, Walmart. There's a lot of places there you can get it in the Cleveland area.
Right.
But as the features go, we do. Try to get, it's based on the spring roster, first of all. And, there's a lot of early enrollees now signees that come in early, so we can include them in the magazine. I think this year there's 20 out of the 22 signees that started spring practice, plus you pick up, 2 or 3 transfers. So we've got all of them included. So in total, we've got bios and photos of 76 players, 33 on offense, 39 on defense, and 4 special teams. But we do a lot of special feature articles, like you're talking about the Mike Keith article. It's one of the longest articles we've had in Football Time. It's like 3 pages, spread over 3 pages. It's an interview. It's kind of a question and answer set up. I think our readers really enjoy that. And also, Ramon Foster, he's the color analyst, and Jimmy Himes wrote that article.
Right.
And we also did a feature on John Henderson. He's been inducted in the College Football Hall of Fame, and, he was an Outland Trophy winner. And what was so cool about that, he won the Outland Trophy as a junior, and he kind of pulled a Peyton Manning and came back for his senior year, even though he'd have probably been one of the top draft picks out as a junior. That he came back trying to win a championship, as a senior. We've got, of course, it's full of information. We start out with the schedule, and we've got the top 25. We've got All-American teams, first team offense and defensive All-Americans. We go and get photos from the universities to put in there of that. Let's see.
And the photography is outstanding. You guys take the actual photographs of the Tennessee players, correct?
Yeah, I took all the photos this year, and it's really a time-consuming thing. I start the first game, of course, but I take like 45,000 photos, so it takes me a couple of months to sort through them. So I'm essentially working on the magazine, starting in the first game, in September and finishing in late May.
Mm.
and I work pretty much constantly on it. So I've taken all the photos this past year.
Well, Steve,
and,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I go over in spring practice. That's the thing about, you get like all these newcomers in, so there's a big rush, a push to get photos of each one. We're not allowed, the media in spring practice is very long, like 15 or 20 minutes. So, I try to get a few at a time, and then I get most of them in the orange and white game. I try to get a photo of every player on the team so we can put them in there. Sometimes they'll turn a walk-on into a scholarship player, so I got to have a photo for them. So I try to cover my ground. And we do photos. Of course, I got photos of all the coaches, coaching staff, and we do articles for them. And, we do a lot of prospect stuff. We've got some special features for prospects that we feature. Got a guy that writes that up for us. And then the top talent in the nation, top talent in the state. We do a preview of every game. Each game that we're going to play this year. We've got also a schedule for all the SEC teams. So there's one page there you can look at. If you're wondering who somebody's playing, you can just look at that page and see, who's playing who. That's kind of cool.
Well, Steve, it's been kind of a dramatic offseason for the Vols. Can you think of another year that kind of tops this in all your years of covering them, just kind of with the transfer of Nico and all the things that have gone on?
No, not really. The transfer portal it's really, making it tough. We try to come out early, as soon as we can after the orange and white game. Of course, this year there's a transfer window right after that, so we already had pages set up. Of course, Nico was going to be our cover guy, And, of course, Dylan Sampson, had he come back, I had a photo of Nico handing off to Dylan Sampson. That would have been the two marquee guys on the cover. But, we had to change gears. And really, our defense kind of led us last year. And to put Arian Foster on there, as he was our leading tackler as a sophomore. He's a superstar in the making. He's going to be a really good player. And, he went down to SEC Media Days this year, with Coach Heupel. I understand he did a really good job down there.
Let me ask you something. You're top 25. You've got the University of Texas as number 1. You've got Ohio State 2, Georgia 3, Penn State 4, Notre Dame 5. You've got Tennessee at 13. Now, I've got some other preseason magazines. I don't know if you ever buy any of the other ones. Like I've got Lindy's, I've got Athlon, I've got Phil Steele. And Steve, Tennessee is all over the map. You've got some that have them in their top 25, and you got some, they're in the low, 30s, like 38th or 39th. So Tennessee is one of the most difficult schools to get a handle on prior to the 2025 season.
It really is, and we actually had them up a little higher, and I moved them down to 13. We had them at 10, and the thing is, it's all based on the offensive line, really. Both offensive and defensive lines. And in last year's magazine, in the 2024 edition, I actually wrote in our season outlook that I thought 2024 would be our best chance to make the playoff compared to 2025 because you had seniors and redshirt seniors stacked too deep on both offense and defensive lines. And, we led the SEC in rushing. You don't do that without a good offensive line. And really, the offensive line is a developmental position. So they say, and I agree with that. Mm-hmm. And we have one returning starter. So you got to plug in 4 new guys, and really it's to play as a unit. That takes some time, and that's a key too. So after going through writing the outlooks, we also do each position. We feature each position, offense and defense, in a magazine. And after I wrote all that up, I says, we just don't have any returning starters much on offense at all. And the key is the offensive line, especially the center. And a couple of years ago, Cooper Mays was out a couple of games. And our offense just didn't click. When he came back, there was a noticeable difference in our offense. So right now, I really think the center position of all teams is probably the most key position on the offensive line.
Well, hey, listen, a great magazine. It's $9.95. Anyone that's a Tennessee fan, you need to get out there. You need to purchase this thing. I promise you, you will be better for it if you're a big Orange supporter. Hey, Steve, thanks so much for your time, man. We appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, Steve Carringer from Football Time in Tennessee. Highly, highly recommend this. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Chris Goforth. He is down at SEC Football Media Days. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back after this.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Hip or knee pain holding you back? There's a new reason to feel hopeful. Dr. Andrew Carlone is now part of the team at Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics in Cleveland. He brings advanced training in total hip and knee replacement, including minimally invasive techniques that get you back on your feet faster. Let Cleveland's orthopedic experts help you live your best life. Call 423-624-2696 or go to sportmed.com to book your visit now.
Don't miss the Paul Feinbaum Show, weekday afternoons from 2 until 5 on ESPN Cleveland 1013. Always topical, always entertaining. Paul Feinbaum on ESPN Cleveland 1013, presented by Hardees.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. Northley Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name says it all.
When you need a new roof, it's all about trust. Your home is too big an investment and you can't afford to make a mistake. Cleveland Plywood has the products and expertise you're looking for. Contractors have trusted them for over 50 years, and they carry only proven products from reputable suppliers like IKO. IKO Cambridge is one of the heaviest weight asphalt shingles you can buy, and their limited warranties are among the industry's best. Protect the investment you've made in your home. Go with the pros at Cleveland Plywood, 2700 20th Street Northeast in Cleveland. Call 472-3357. You bleed orange. You never miss a Vols game. But when's the last time you showed that same pride in your smile? At Magnolia Dental Center of Cleveland, we treat every patient like it's fourth and goal. Fast, tough, and no-nonsense care. Just like the way Tennessee plays. Cleanings, repairs, full-on restorations. We'll get you back in the game. Magnolia Dental Center, proudly serving Vol Nation, one winning smile at a time. Call 423-476-3307 or visit MagnoliaDentalCenterofCleveland.com to schedule an appointment today.
Switching jobs is stressful. Switching schools is painful. But switching your insurance policies to Allstate, it really couldn't be easier. At Allstate, you can call one local agent who can assist you with all of your policies and make the paperwork simple. Here in Cleveland, Allstate agent George Gray can help you protect everything from your home, car, boat, and motorcycle to your RV, ATV, and more. See George Gray, Allstate Insurance on Keith Street. Are you in good hands?
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a good Wednesday afternoon, and happy to have with us for the second day in a row, Chris Goforth is down there in Atlanta at SEC Football Media Days. And, of course, today you had Alabama headliner, and you have Florida. So you had some big schools down there. So, Chris, how was today down there in Atlanta?
Well, Jim, I can tell you, I think today is maybe the highest attended day in terms of the amount of media that was here. I can tell you that it greatly slowed down the internet at the College Football Hall of Fame, so it made getting and sending emails a little bit of a challenge at times today. But again, I think, it's hard to tell. You and I used to rub shoulders down in Birmingham or in Hoover rather at the Winfrey Hotel when this event was held there. The College Football Hall of Fame is bigger building, a little more spread out. So it's, and I'm never good at, gauging crowds anyway, but it certainly felt like today was maybe the largest attended day so far this week.
Yeah, of course. Now I'll tell you on Chris. He would force me to take him to the Tilted Kilt restaurant down there in Birmingham. But we always had a good time down there.
Yeah, at least I didn't make you pay, though, right? Or did you?
No.
I don't think you ever paid, Jim. So maybe we need to go back.
Exactly. I probably owe you a few. So tell me a little bit about Kalen DeBoer. How much pressure is on him? Listen, we know he's following maybe the greatest college football coach of all time, Nick Saban. Nobody wants to follow the legend. You want to follow the guy that follows the legend, but somebody had to. And Kalen DeBoer, he goes 9-4 his first year, which is not disastrous. Most schools would sign up for 9-4 in a heartbeat, but this is Alabama. How much pressure is on Kalen DeBoer?
Yeah, I think there's a ton, as you can imagine, and it doesn't, it probably doesn't help things any with the, the rumor of Nick Saban wanting to return to coaching that was floating around here Monday. Here's what I can tell you about what he said today, though. He's got 17 seniors. That is twice as many as Alabama had last year, actually more than twice. They only had 8 seniors on that team last year. He feels like he's got a team that has some experience, and he talked today about the need to be better in those big moments. The other thing that I think is key when you talk about Alabama football is he's finally got his guy now as an offensive coordinator. You go back a year ago, Ryan Grubb, who was his offensive coordinator at Washington, was set to come to Tuscaloosa and be the offensive coordinator at Alabama. Before the plane could ever touch down in Tuscaloosa, he is offered and accepts the job as the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks.
Right.
He's there for 1 year. Things didn't go well, or at least didn't end well for him in Seattle, so he's out of work. And so Kalen DeBoer is able to finally get his guy now leading that Alabama offense, and he referred to Ryan Grubb today as an elite offensive mind. Ty Simpson's going to be the quarterback. Jim, you'll love this. I spent about 30 minutes today with David Cutcliffe, and Coach Cut had a lot of things to say about Arch Manning, who he's known, obviously, his entire life. But he's known Ty Simpson for a long time as well, and he feels like Ty Simpson will be a very productive quarterback in this Alabama offense.
So talking about the Florida Gators, in my opinion, last year, again, this is Jacob Mason. I know we talked yesterday, but it's great to have you back on. In my opinion, Billy Napier last year was on the hot seat. Going 8-5 with that schedule is probably the most impressive 8-win season anybody can have, and I feel like he went to maybe like a lukewarm seat. What's your opinion on that, and then how do you feel like he handled SEC Media Days today?
No, I agree with you that I think that seat last year was very hot. Now, as he pointed out today, by the end of the season last year, Florida was probably playing as well as anybody by the end of the year. He had DJ Lagway with him today. First time I have seen DJ Lagway in person. He is massive. He reminds me a lot of Cam Newton, just in terms of body size.
Somebody said Jamarcus. Really somebody said Jamarcus Russell. Do you remember Jamarcus Russell?
Yeah,
how big he was?
Look, you could throw Jamarcus Russell in there too. I mean, he is just he's probably, 6'5", 6'6", and looks every bit of, 230, 245 as a quarterback. So he's massive. I think the seat for Napier has cooled. I think it could get warm again depending on how this season goes. You talked about the schedule they had last year and how difficult it was. I think this Florida schedule is every bit as tough. A lot of people feel like it may be the toughest in the country. So I don't think it's going to be that easy for Florida again this year.
Well, let me ask you something, Chris. I mean, the big thing for years was Texas is back. Texas is back. My question to you, is Florida back?
Oh gosh, man! I just gotta. You're gonna have to show me something, Jim, before I can go there. I mean, again, we just talked about how tough this conference is and how tough this schedule is that Florida has got. I'm going to have to see it before. I mean, how many times did we say that, or was it said about Texas before they actually got back?
About 10 or 15 years.
I'm not ready to go there yet with Florida.
So I know you've covered SEC Media Days for a long time, and you've gotten to see Nick Saban on the podium. How different is DeBoer, and what are their differences? And I know they're going to be different, but how different is it watching him at the podium versus the GOAT?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the verbiage and the way they talk is very much different. There's two things I used to always say about Nick Saban when it came to SEC Media Days, maybe three things. One being he never would ever tell you anything. The second one was that he would filibust. Because the coaches get a chance to make an opening statement, and then they open it up for questions. And there were years where Saban's opening statement, if they had 30 minutes, Saban's opening statement would go for 22 or 23 minutes, so he didn't have to allow time for, or at least not allow a lot of times for reporters to be able to ask questions. The other thing, much like Greg Sankey and before him Mike Slive, Nick Saban always came to this event with an agenda that went beyond Alabama football.
Yep.
What was he going to say about the current state of the sport? He always had an agenda when he showed up at SEC Media Day, a point that he was going to make. And again, it might not always have been necessarily related to Alabama football, but there was something that he wanted a point, if you will, that he wanted to try to get across. I don't really get that from Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer, kind of talking to him and listening to him talk, you really kind of feel like you're, kind of like maybe like you're just talking to a high school football coach. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all when I say that about a guy that's a Power 5 head football coach. I mean, he's all about ball, and that's what he wants to talk about. He's not interested in going through NIL and 8 or 9 game schedules or any of that stuff. Let's just talk ball and talk about my guys. And I thought that came across from him today. I will say this. You talk about the personality differences in these coaches. Man, Brent Venables, I don't know how many Red Bulls or Monster Energy drinks that guy consumes before he took the podium today, but he was like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I mean, he was just jittery almost on that stage talking about 90 miles a minute. So a little bit different. Caleb DeBoer maybe a little more laid back than Brent Venables for sure. And Billy Napier, the good old boy from Chatsworth, he was a little laid back as well.
Well, if anyone's got a hot seat this year, it's Oklahoma's head coach. We all know the expectations in Norman, Oklahoma. Now, I've got to say something. It's driven me crazy. I can't remember which coach, but there's been at least 2 there at the SEC Football Media Days when one of the writers would say, hey, are you for 8 or 9 conference games? And at least 2 coaches have said, that's above my pay grade. Hello? No, it's not. The guys that are making that decision are below your pay grade. There's none of this is above their pay grade, just driving me crazy. Chris, one of the best stats I've seen today, the Florida Gators, we all know they have produced a lot of great football players, both sides of the ball. You name it, every position. Do you know the last time they had a 1,000-yard receiver?
It's been a while. Well, we got to go back to
2008.
Are we going as far back as Urban Meyer?
2002.
Percy Harvin didn't go over.
Can you believe that? I saw that today, and I'm like, what? I mean, unless somebody unless that could be wrong. I'm just going by what I read today. But a program like Florida in 22 years has not produced a single 1,000-yard receiver. I just find that remarkable. And with DJ Lagway and all those weapons, you got to feel like that's – of course, I would have thought that would have been done under Tebow and multiple other quarterbacks have been over there at Florida all these years. But that's one of the craziest stats I've had. So what is the biggest highlight so far in the last couple of days you've been there in Atlanta?
Oh, gosh. There's so many. Well, I mean, for me personally, again, like I said, got to hang with Coach Cutcliffe for about 30 minutes today. So anytime I can, I feel like I want to go to the whiteboard now, Jim, and start throwing up plays. I mean, it's like you get a chance to spend some time with that guy. I mean, he's just a fantastic football mind, and to be able to, talk a little football with him today was fun. So on a personal level, I'll go to that level. Over the course of this week, I thought Kirby Smart handled himself pretty well yesterday when he was here. That has. I thought Josh Heupel had, kind of said all of the right things. And again, Greg Sankey comes to this every year with an agenda that he wants to push. And, I think we heard that from him. So, I enjoy hearing all these different, even Jeff Levy today from Mississippi State, they're raising money down at Mississippi State, building a new indoor practice facility there. So they are trying to up the game, if you will, at Mississippi State. So I just enjoy, it's kind of a football junkie at every level. I enjoy hearing all these guys talk as far as that goes.
So, you talked earlier about Nick Saban coming in with an agenda, and you talked about Greg Sankey. Do you feel like Kirby Smart is kind of taking over the torch in the SEC as the guy that helps push the agenda that they need pushed? Somewhat, I do. Kirby was one of the guys kind of following up on what Greg Sankey had talked about on Monday when Kirby was here yesterday. He started talking about the academic standards and the return to academic standards, and we've got to get back to, the more traditional college approach for these guys. And we can't continue with the current system, so to speak. And that very much was echoing what Greg Sankey had said the day before. So, yeah, I do kind of feel that about Kirby Smart's kind of, assumed that position. Now, unfortunately, none of these guys have taken on the role of Mike Leach and Steve Spurrier, who were by far and away always the most entertaining guys when they got up to talk. And none of them, maybe if they could do this on Twitter, Lane Kiffin could be that guy, but none of them will ever be able to touch what Coach Leach and Coach Spurrier were able to do.
No doubt. Hey, Chris, man, we appreciate your time, brother.
Always, guys. Talk soon.
All right, take care. Chris, I'm telling you, Chris Goforth is an amazing guy. He's of course, he does the pregame and postgame for all Atlanta Falcons games. So glad to have him down there and getting the lowdown on all the stuff going down at SEC Football Media Days. Let's go ahead and take one quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish it up. You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll be back after this.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees. The new home for ESPN Radio is ESPN Cleveland 101.3. It's time for a Don Ledford of Cleveland traffic update on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Don Ledford Chevrolet Buick GMC, located on North Lee Highway in Cleveland, or visit donledford.com for details. Don Ledford, where we say yes. It's on-time traffic with Commander Chuck.
Good afternoon. Highway 58 pretty busy now, hitting some of these traffic lights going outbound on 58 back out towards the Harrison area. Still building right now. 24 towards Montego Mountain as you work your way through parts of Marion, Grundy counties this afternoon. A little bit of radar there over the mountain, so be careful. East Ridge Fast Lube, that's where I get my oil change. Go see them. There's 3 convenient locations. They're online. Check them out for more information at eastridgefastlube.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
From the Alon Planning Partners Weather Center, here's your forecast on ESPN Cleveland 101.3. Visit them online at alonplanning.com or give them a call at 423-335-1441.
Going to be another hot and humid day with temperatures climbing into the mid-90s, while the chance for a few spotty showers, but most of us are going to stay dry, and that heat index could climb as high as 100 degrees, so do what you can to stay cool. Tonight, partly cloudy with overnight lows in the mid-70s, and for your Thursday, highs of around 95 with about a 20% chance of a passing shower. For the latest, download the Local 3 weather app. I'm Storm Alert meteorologist Clay Smith.
Your current Milligan Vein temperature is 91 degrees. MilliganVein.com.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
You're listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Hope everyone out there is having a good Wednesday. Hey, when it comes to Mayfield ice cream, you'll never have a boring bite. Their limited edition ice creams, cherry chocolate chip and banana pudding, are inspired by traditional Southern recipes and seasonal favorites. Pick some up today at your local grocery store. So, talking a little bit about the SEC football media days down there, and we talked about some guys are on the hot seat and some guys are not in trouble at all. And I think it's interesting to see, like Mark Stoops. I know that, we all know that Kentucky's not a traditional SEC power. But, man, that program has slipped quite a bit over the last 2 years. And I'm thinking that he may be on a little bit of a warm seat there in Lexington. I think Sam Pittman is in trouble at Arkansas. Who would you say right now, Jacob, who would you say is on the warmest seat in the Southeastern Conference heading into the 2025 season?
I think it's a tie between Sam Pittman and Brett Venables. I always say his name wrong.
Brett Venables. Yeah.
Brett Venables. I think it's a tie between them two just because Arkansas wants to be great. They're great at everything else. They're really good in all of their sports. Like they're consistently good at basketball. They're consistently good at baseball. They're consistently good at softball. They're ready to kind of take their next step forward and be consistently good with football. I think they thought with Sam Pittman they were going to bring his Georgia ties. Being able to recruit. He was one of the best offensive line recruiters in the country, and he did a good job in those first couple of years. But just hasn't really been able to put the product on the field. And then you look at Brett Venables out in Oklahoma. In my opinion, he was probably one of the best defense coordinators in the entire country.
For sure, at Clemson.
But that doesn't mean that you're a great head coach. So, that's kind of how I felt about Chip Kelly. I think Chip Kelly is one of the best offensive coordinators in the country. I think when he got into head coaching roles, he wasn't as good.
Well, when he was the head coach at Oregon, I don't think as much was asked of a head coach back then as it is now. Nowadays, you're like a CEO, and you've got to be a fundraiser, and you got to do so many other things. And you've got all your assistant coaches that are doing all the recruiting. Yeah, you'll close a deal from time to time, but I think that Brent Venables, to me, he's on the warmest seat in the Southeastern Conference. Here's the thing about Arkansas, and I think Pittman is a great reason to talk about this. When Arkansas was in the Southwest Conference, they were a power. It was Texas and Arkansas. They dominated that conference. They joined the SEC in 1992. They've been nothing but a mediocre to a sub-mediocre program because it's hard to recruit to Fayetteville, Arkansas. Have you ever been to Fayetteville, Arkansas?
No, I've been to Arkansas, though, and I feel like I might have flown into Fayetteville. No.
It is not an easy place to get to.
I flew into Little Rock, but I'll just be honest with you, and then I drove back home, through Memphis. There's just not much there. And then one of my buddies moved out there as a pastor, and I said, well, brother, enjoy the 3 stoplights and, the Dollar General they got out there, because that's just about it.
And the money is okay out there. I'm talking about the money that it takes to run a program, but you've got programs right around you: Oklahoma, Texas A&M, LSU, Alabama. You got all these programs that kind of surround you there at Arkansas. And when a lot of the kids are being recruited by those schools, Arkansas is like the last school that they really would choose if they were, if everything's equal, which is not equal. Things are just different in Austin, Texas, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Norman, Oklahoma. They're just a little bit more. They take football a little bit more seriously, and they want to win a little bit more than Arkansas. I think that is one of the most difficult jobs in the Southeastern Conference because of all of the competition within 150 to maybe 250 miles.
Yeah, and they're probably frustrated too because you look at Missouri, and Missouri has done pretty well in recruiting. They've at least made it to an SEC championship in football as well, like and on a much shorter time base. Somebody who's probably you mentioned them. They're mad that their seat is hot because they already were hopped on a plane and out of here before the internet found out about it. Would be Mark Stoops at Kentucky. When the internet found out that he was potentially going to become the next Texas A&M coach, Texas A&M fans rioted.
Just like Tennessee when they tried to hire Shiano from Rutgers.
And here's the thing: I think that Mark Stoops is a good coach. I think he does a good job at recruiting somewhere that it's hard to recruit to in football. I think he develops pretty good talent. He has hard-nosed football teams. The problem is he just is not on the same playing field as some of these other schools in the SEC. If you would have put him at Texas A&M with the type of money that they have and the facilities that they have and the ease it is to recruit out there, I think he would have been successful. But now he's still sitting in Lexington. He's probably not going to have that great of a year, and his rear end's getting warmer and warmer by the day. So it's going to be interesting to see because I really do think he is a good coach. I just think Kentucky their priorities are too split, and you know that all too well. Having family and stuff like their priorities are just split, and a lot of these schools get their football teams good first. And then they start pouring money into the basketballs, the baseballs, and stuff like that. Well, Kentucky's kind of the opposite.
They put the basketball's numero uno. And I'll never forget, this is a true story. Bear Bryant was at the University of Kentucky back in the 50s. And Adolph Rupp was the head basketball coach at Kentucky at the same time. And they both won championships at the same year. Adolph Rupp got a new Cadillac. Bear Bryant got a watch. And Bear Bryant knew. He said, well, that tells me everything I need to know where the priorities lie here in the Bluegrass State. Basketball is king at the University of Kentucky, and it always will be. That's just a reality. And so when you're playing second fiddle to another program at your school, the resources are not going to be as vast at the University of Kentucky as they are at Tennessee. Listen, Tennessee's good in basketball. In fact, they're really good in basketball. But Tennessee, first and foremost, is a football school. Georgia, first and foremost, is a football school. Oklahoma is a football school. These schools are good in other sports. But Kentucky, that's a basketball school. North Carolina, Duke, you got certain schools out there that basketball is priority number one.
All right, I got another hot seat for you.
All right.
And this one warms up every 18 holes. It would be Hugh Freeze. Hugh Freeze
boy, here we go.
Is on the hot seat. The golf is not helping. Listen, I don't really care that he's playing golf. I don't care that he's going out there. The fans are upset because he's losing recruits. He's losing them to rivals.
What are they, 83rd in the recruiting right now?
It's awful. To me, the golf is not that big of a deal, but you've got to recruit better. And here, I guess my question to you is, how many games do they have to win to where he doesn't get fired?
I think he's got to win 9 games. I think 9-3. I think if he goes 8-4, especially if they get waxed by Alabama, and that's the last thing that everyone's remembering. Doesn't matter what the bowl results are. You can't go 8-4, and that last one is a big time loss to Alabama. I think he's got to go 9-3.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 9-3 is the number because I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, that they should be favored in all but maybe 4 games. And so, to me, to save your job, you've got to win one of those games you're probably not supposed to. At least that it's going to be a close.
Georgia, Alabama, who else?
You've got Georgia at home at night with a roster that is 51% like young guns. If there's a year that Auburn finally kind of snaps this win streak that Georgia's got going, it needs to be this year. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. Jordan-Hare is a pretty tough place to play in, but I'm not bought in on Hugh Freeze yet, and genuinely I think his seat, just because of how high expectations are in Auburn expects to win championships. They expect to be competing against Alabama. They expect to try to be better than Alabama, and they thought Hugh Freeze was going to be the dude to do it because of how much trouble he gave Alabama at Ole Miss.
Yeah, right. Here's Auburn's schedule. They open the season in Waco against Baylor. That is not going to be an easy game.
That's
right
not
there.
an easy game.
Ball State, we give them that. South Alabama. Then they play at Oklahoma in Norman. That is not going to be easy. Then they play Texas A&M and College Station. So their three biggest games to start the season are all on the road. Now, they do get Georgia at Jordan-Hare, Missouri at Jordan-Hare, at Arkansas, Kentucky at Jordan-Hare, at Vanderbilt. Then you got Mercer at home, and then you got Alabama at home. That is a very difficult, because the road games are very, very tough, man, especially to begin the season.
In Auburn's fans' minds, though, like they should be favored in most of those games. I'm going to say they're not favored in the Texas A&M game, they're not favored in the Georgia game, and they're not favored in the Alabama game. But they, in the Auburn's fan head, they should beat Baylor. They should.
Oklahoma is going to be tough. Oklahoma had a bad year last year, but this at Oklahoma,
they're on the top 10 spenders list this year. They spent money in the portal. Like they are expecting that these additions to their roster should help them. And I'm just here to say I don't know, man. I don't know that I see them winning 8 games.
Yeah, and if they do, then if that job opens up, holy cow! And listen, Auburn lives in the shadow of the University of Alabama in that state, and it eats at them constantly. And at some point, they've got to make some hay. So they'll do whatever. They'll throw out stupid money to get the right coach there if they don't get it done this year. Hey, listen, we hope everyone out there has had an enjoyable day. Hopefully, we don't know if Andy's going to be back tomorrow, but if he is, great. If not, we'll be here again. You've been listening to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. We'll see you guys on Thursday.